with ccwddd1, and we have the great pleasure of being down here in Valley Springs with Jeff Davidson. Thanks for meeting me this morning. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jeff is a director of CCWD, correct? For how many years?
I've been a director now for a little over 10 years.
10 years, wow. So that's like decades, right?
I'm the youngest guy on the board, but the oldest standing member.
And one of the reasons we thought we'd try to ask Jeff some questions this morning is most, water has been a huge topic in the news lately, whether it be the Pardee, the East Bay Mud deal, or with CCWD's plans, and also the general plan of water element, the general plan, different things. So we thought, what better person to talk to than Jeff on it? So what's the state of water these days?
Well, first before I say that, I want to congratulate you on being the Business of the Year.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I think it was well-deserved, and your business brings a terrific dynamic to
thank you.
The county. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
But anyway, your question was?
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess, I guess just the general state, I know water's been kind of the hot button topic, with all the plans that CCWD has, the general plan element. I mean, where are we at right now with water?
Well, actually, water, this is going to be a critical water year statewide. Calaveras County is a blessed county with water. It always cracks me up when people say, are we going to run out of water?
Right.
Now, highly, highly, highly unlikely. We are one of the most water-rich per capita areas in the state. We're very fortunate that way. What we don't have necessarily is all the modern infrastructure in containment and reservoirs and storage to utilize all of our water. And that's really the critical issue right now. It's not water rights. We have abundant water rights on the McCullamy, the Calaveras, and the Stanislaus. And they are terrific water rights. We are the envy of every county in the state. What the issue is now is how do we begin to develop and pay for, primarily pay for, the infrastructure to distribute that water to the rest of the county.
Yeah.
And so that, in a nutshell, is what I consider to be the biggest role of the Calaveras County.
And on that, I guess, is development slows. As development is slowing right now, does that put additional pressure on you guys? I mean, because a lot of times, if there's in a, I guess, quote unquote, a normal development cycle, you have some of your developer fees and things like that, where you can
No, that's a critical.
Is that a
right now? We just went through some of our budgets, and for our individual delivery systems, we have excess capacity in most all of them. But we paid for that capacity in some instances with bonds and other means based on historical growth rates.
Right.
Very modest historical growth rates. I mean, in Rancho Calaveras at the Rancho Calaveras La Quintina, the La Quintina water treatment plant, we need about 50 connections a year to pay for that debt service.
Got it.
And that's just one example. But I think in December we had 0 connections, which the only good news about that is at least we know we hit bottom.
Right. And do you see some signs that things are starting to tick up now? I mean, there's a lot of no. Okay, all right.
Well, it is. Plus, there's the other drain on the resource now is we do have people leaving the county for many reasons.
Right.
Can't find work.
Right.
Lost their job in the valley, so they move closer back to the valley. So we have a lot of vacancies where we used to have be collecting $58 a month.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that's been in the news a lot lately, is I know it doesn't directly, the East Bay Mud, the Pardee project. For most people aren't familiar, what are they trying to do there?
Well, actually, the East Bay Mud project, as I understand it, is part of a larger. It's part of a very, very long-term expansion of reservoir storage throughout the state. And everyone knows in the state we need more water storage. There's no question about it. Yeah. Even if you're a global warming enthusiast, that has been telling everybody we need to be able to store more water quicker. And what's been in the news lately in regard to raising Pardee, it's been talked about before. When I first got on the board, it had been talked about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. It'll be talked about 10 years from now.
Right.
And probably one day, some form, it will happen. and that may not be a bad thing. I know that many of the recreationalists and environmentalists are up in arms about it, but I prefer to take a wait and see attitude. It won't happen overnight. I think it's knowing how long these things take. It's probably 20 years out. And I think the best thing for Calaveras County to do, as well as Amarillo County, is to participate with East Bay Mud and let them know what our needs are. And also, not just the needs of the water purveyors, but the needs of our community.
Yeah.
And I think if we go about it that way, as opposed to filling a room with angry people, we may come out of it with something that our county could never afford by itself.
Right.
We have 19,000 acre-feet of reservation on the McCollum River that we currently can't use because we can't store it.
Is that kind of the buzzwords that's been going around lately? The use it or lose it scenario?
It's more than just use it. You really have to start taking steps to use it.
Okay.
If we continue to reject every water project and every water usage and every development, they will come take that water. The state will tell somebody else, you need it worse than we do.
Okay.
And I'm not prepared to give that up.
Right. So the critical needs you see for the county is we do need more storage. We do. I guess since we're here in Valley Springs, one of the big the big things has been the Trinitas project. And some of that thing has been, the controversy over the actual aquifer, the level of water and stuff. Would a project like Part E expansion, wouldn't that tend to recharge some of the local aquifer just if that land's puddled here for a while, or everything?
Well, in that specific area, I think Comanche probably has a bigger impact.
Yeah.
But if there's more water in Part E, there's going to be more water in Comanche, and therefore more will infiltrate into our aquifer, just as they say it is today.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Trinitas, one of the critical issues of Valley Springs is we have three communities. Valley Springs itself is served by a little public utility district, Valley Springs PD, on well water.
Right.
The little community of Burson they're all individual wells, and Wallace is also served on well water. Those we know for a fact that the San Joaquin Basin, which is a huge, there's 900,000 acre-feet a year that's pumped out of the San Joaquin Basin. That stretches into Calaveras County, and we know it's in decline. Not because we're overusing it. We're certainly probably using less acre-feet per acre than any other area in the aquifer.
But you got Stockton, Lodi, all the rest of it. Dipping the straw in.
Sure, you've got Stockton City Council keeps continuing to expand. Those are the real culprits to the aquifer. But what we want to do, and we've got some federal funding to do, a $3 million allocation to begin to take water down Highway 12 to serve some of those communities and get them off of groundwater and onto surface water, which we have an abundant supply. We're currently only using 10% of our permitted entitlement out of Hogan Reservoir for this
10%.
10%. About 3,400 acre feet a year out of about 34,000 acre feet a year.
Wow. Okay.
And so there isn't any reason why we shouldn't be trying to get surface water throughout the western end of the county. And anywhere else.
Right. Now, there are, and you said you do have some funds to start studying and start working on that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're our federal legislative advocate, Carmel Group in Washington, D.C., and myself and Ed Patterson, our water resources manager, I think we've been very successful. Like I said, we got a $3 million allocation a couple years ago, and each year we I think this year we're trying to get $600,000 of that appropriated so we can begin to study how to take a pipeline down there and begin to serve those communities.
Yeah. And that you see is the real long-term solution to some of the water issues in this Valley Springs area is getting more surface and get it out there.
Right. But the problem is affordability.
Yeah.
We can do the math. We can do we know how to get the pipes down there. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
Financing is the hard part. And what we need is we know we have a federal partner already. We need to develop more partners, perhaps like Trinitas. I mean,
Right.
Trinitas is, an integral could be an integral part in that partnership.
Yeah.
And the community of Wallace and some of these others, those folks one day, and it may be 20 years from now, are going to have real groundwater problems.
Right.
Some of them have plenty of water. There's rivers that run underground and things like that. Some of them don't.
Right.
Many of them currently don't. But without more bigger partners, we'll never be able to serve the individual lots down.
Yeah.
It'll cost too much money.
Yeah. I think it's one little question on the, because is what we've seen in following stuff is the water companies like CCWD and also on the wastewater side as well. Going forward, the sheer, I guess from a layperson's perspective, the sheer level of government regulations and everything else, is it going to make it harder for some of the smaller districts to survive in some of these things? Is that
I really, particularly in this economy, I wouldn't be at all surprised, and I don't want to name names right now.
Right.
But I will name one. The Wallace Community Services District down there in Wallace, I think is in real trouble now because of that. The latest subdivision was rejected.
Right.
And that was originally when they began to do their model for connection charges and things like that. They were estimating it at the full build out. Well, since that latest phase was rejected, now that burden is going to fall on the existing people who live there.
Right.
And with all due respect to the people who oppose those things, the people in Wallace, I think, could have $400 water bills.
wow?
Somebody has to pay. Now there's only 100 or so residents to do it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, it's going to be interesting to see how small districts like that can continue to operate with their current financial structure.
Now, CCWD, by and large, you've been very successful at keeping your rates fairly moderate as compared to some of the other, as compared to Angels Camp and some of the other things. Correct? Isn't that?
Our rates are the lowest in the county.
Okay.
But I've never met anybody that thought that they were cheap.
Not cheap. But I guess the other one thing is what's coming out of Tuolumne County right now is TUD. They're going to be putting forward a plan where they may have to actually double their rates over the next 5 years. You guys did your rate piece last year, right? Didn't you do your?
It was a year or so ago.
Okay.
And I actually opposed I didn't like the tier of the structure, so
Okay.
I voted against it. But I knew we had to raise our base rate. But I keep talking about use it or lose it.
Right.
We need to be using water here. We shouldn't be penalizing people for using it. We are not in the same situation as many other communities. That being said, we want to be responsible with the water.
Right.
But we shouldn't penalize businesses and things like that for using water. We need more businesses. We need more connections. That's what we need. But we did go through the rate structure, and it will bump up a little bit each year for the next few years. And we're like everybody else. We may have to take another look at it.
Yeah.
But we're not in severe financial trouble.
Right.
We're not. I am concerned about the connections. I think that could be a problem if this lasts for more than a couple of years. I think that could end up being a significant problem.
Sure.
But I think we'll be okay. We're definitely tightening our belt at the district.
Yeah.
Really in all areas, trying to be proactive so we don't get real far behind.
Now, I guess it's kind of the last little kind of as you can say as a takeaway for most lay people that don't follow, maybe not follow the news as closely as they should, or even things like that. What would you say to them about water in Calaveras County, and what are the real things that to cut through some of the chatter and stuff and some of the different voices out there over the next 20 years? What should they should be mindful of?
Well, first of all, without some reasonable growth,
right,
the burden to pay for every district in the county will fall on those who live there today.
Okay.
And the money doesn't come from anywhere else. Grants are hard to get. We're going to have to do this together, and the only way we're going to do it is with partnerships. East Bay Mud, on a big project. With all due respect, that could be $1 billion project, and it could have hundreds of millions of dollars of positive economic benefit for Calaveras and other counties. And so no amount of rafting will ever make up for that.
Got it.
So we got to look at it at least in that. We got to look at it from both sides, and those on the other side need to look at it from the water supplier's point of view also. As far as the biggest thing I think we have going against us right now is use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Prove that you can use your water resources, or we will lose them. And
is that a very real thing from the state?
Stockton East, I'm sorry, the city of Stockton just redid their general plan last year, and they called for for their growth, using 15,000 acre feet of ccwd's permitted right out of Hogan Reservoir.
Got it.
And the reason they said they could do that
Because we weren't using
is
it.
we're not using it.
Okay.
I mean, I would just soon we became the rice growing capital of the world. And just sit there. I don't like sending it downstream. We have so many opportunities if we could distribute the water.
Got it.
And we need to form partnerships with environmentalists, with the federal government, with landowners, with development. Everybody's going to have to play a role in it, or we will lose the most important economic resource we have.
Right.
Is water. For recreation, we have adequate water for industry, if we could ever attract any up here. We have the beautiful lakes. It really is the richest water resource we have in this county.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate you spending the time. We really do. And hope you enjoyed this. Will be a little update on things you should be following on the water issues. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.